Welcome to another edition of the Empower Hour. I am Alquamar and Hanifa is off campus today. Baby has a fever. So we're going to do this thing off campus. So you'll see me for sure, but Hanifa's going to come up periodically for us on the split screen when she's not tending to the little one. Here she is. Hey Hanifa.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Gossi is a little. He not. As of yet, we're good to go. Thumbs up
Right.
right now. Yes, family. This is the Empower Hour. We come to you with impactful topics of discussion that affect our everyday lives. Today will be no different. I'm in the studio by myself today, but we're going to be talking about trending topics that's in and out of mainstream news. So that's our topic today, and we want you guys to join us in the discussion. So definitely, I'm close, as you can see. I'm like finger close to you guys here on YouTube as well as Facebook. So please type your questions, type your comments, share the stream, join the discussion with us today. Trending topics. Hanifa, did you want to start us off with anything that's been on your mind this week or last week?
Uh, no, no.
No?
No. No.
Okay.
You could stop. Sorry.
You know what's been, I want to start with what's this scenario that's really weighing heavy on my heart about the judge. That the judge, Tracy Hunter over in Cincinnati, that was dragged, was pulled out of the courtroom. They sentenced
Yes.
her to 6 months in jail. I don't know, for some reason, that particular case really got to me. Really got to me. I mean, you know, maybe it's because I'm recognizing that our fight is in every facet of this society. We have to fight and we have to battle. And you would think that when one of us get to a position, a noble position such as a judge, well, noble for most, such as a judge, that things will get a little you know, we could smooth out some of these edges and things will get a little bit more easy for us. But they just sentenced this sister to 6 months in jail. Did you hear about this, Hanifa?
Yeah, I heard about it in passing. So what exactly happened?
Well, from what I can gather from the story, which I don't know all of the backstory, I was trying to get that, didn't get a lot of it. She has a brother who works in the juvenile detention center. Must be near where she is, or maybe in the same city, or what have you. And she has been charged with giving her brother information that will help him in one of his court cases or something. He had a court case coming up, and she, you know, this is what they claim she did. She gave her brother some unauthorized information to help his case.
A cheat sheet.
Her and her attorneys all claim that that's not true. That's a bold-faced, flat-out lie. That is not what happened. So I don't know. You know, I don't know. But the word is that things like that have happened before, and never have a judge received jail time for something like that. But I don't know, you know, but I just thought it was really interesting. She got a lot of community support. A lot of people was rallying behind her who knew from day one about the situation. She was well loved and appreciated in her community. She was changing up a lot of stuff in the courtrooms. Like, for instance, she wouldn't allow any of the juveniles to come in her courtroom shackled. So that was one of the things that they was like, you know, that she got pushback about.
Okay.
A lot of the juveniles before she became judge was being tried as adults. she cut a lot of that out.
Oh, okay.
Right. So she barely won the seat because she had to fight for that because they were, something like all the seats weren't counted when the votes weren't counted. Excuse me, when she
Right.
was up for the seat, and they had to force all the votes to be counted. And when they did, kind of find out like 70 something seats, she won by 70 something votes. So she had a lot of the pushback from the good old boys when she got in there. And so people are saying that this is just another display of us trying to, do the right thing by us. And she getting, pushback from those who don't look like us, who really don't want her there. They don't want to see these kind of changes take effect. So yeah, the sister's in jail. Her attorneys are pushing.
But you said they gave her 6 months?
They gave her 6 months the other day, last week. Hey, Leslie. Hey, guys. Yeah, so that case in particular has really been on my mind. Yeah. What do you guys think? Share, help me out. What's going on in your world? Hey, Mo. Hey, Lovely. David, Renaud, let me know what's going on. What's a topic of discussion that's really been on your mind? We like to hear about it. Let's talk about it. Darren said, we simply don't get it. At some point, we will have to fight to separate from these people. Stop fighting to be accepted. What do you think about what Darren just said?
I think what we've been fighting. Well, we've been fighting to be accepted as equal for so long, and a part of me is like, why is that so important?
Why is it so important?
No, it's not. I really don't want to ask that, because I guess it's when we start talking about equal and we start talking about what we want access to and so forth. A lot of it is just like when I hear a lot of people, especially people who are considered leaders in the community, or when you're in certain discussions, a lot of what comes up is you want to be able to have access to what they have access to. But also there's another side. It's almost like we want to be able to get away with what they get away with as well. So the separation piece for me, I'm for it. I think that's mainly because I think we need a separate space outside of the environment that have damaged us to heal. I don't think that remaining in the same environment which has traumatized us and hurt us, I don't think that we can actually really heal in that same environment.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, Copper, who's here? Copper Tone and Pelu and Salima. Hey, guys. What do you think, though, about, going back to Darren's point, about those of us who are in the trenches of this system, like the judges and the police officers or the school teachers and superintendents and people of that nature? What do you think about these people who are in the trenches working to make things better for black people, though?
I think that black people there are different types of us. There are those of us that believe that we could change the system from inside.
Yeah.
And so we go into these places, we're optimistic, we're gung-ho, we're going in there and trying to do this work. And then there are some of us who just think that it's a hopeless case, and we don't even want to mess with the system at all. And then there's some of us that feel that it's better to go in between. To a certain extent, we still can use the system to our benefit. That's the people that I feel are in the middle. So the people like the judge who goes in, and I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. I just think that all of us have different angles in which we think is best to fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that, because I wonder what our scenario would be in this society if we didn't have people in these different institutions,
right,
to shaping and maneuvering.
Right.
I would imagine that our situation would be a whole lot more dire than what it is. So
Mhm.
I, and I used to be one of those individuals who say, throw it all out. Throw it
Right.
all out, the baby
Hmm.
with the bathwater, forget it all. Ain't no point in voting. Ain't, that's their system. We just got to break off and do our own thing completely. But realistically, realistically,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? We're not in a position to do that. There are
I don't
small
think we're in
communities
a
of
position
us
to do
who've
that
done that and
for a
who are
long time.
doing that.
Sorry.
There's small communities here and there, who've done that, like the help me out down in Georgia, the Gullah Geechee,
Yeah, the Gullah Geechee. Hmm.
and people in places like that where they have built their own cubbyhole. But for the larger part of black society, how beneficial is that when we're not even in a position to clothe ourselves and feed ourselves
Right.
and protect ourselves? So I think balance is necessary. I think it's one thing to say all that, forget about
Hmm.
all that, let's do our own thing, and it's a whole nother thing to actually work towards doing that.
Hmm.
And so if you're not working towards doing that, and you're not in a position yourself, you have a 9 to 5, and you go to the
Right.
grocery store for all your food, and you
Hmm.
go to the mall for all your clothes, but you saying forget about that, we gotta do our own thing. Well, how realistic is it when you are dependent on the system yourself?
Well, I think forget about all of that is, and no shade to the people who feel that way completely,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's a really emotional response.
It's an
You
emotional
know what I mean?
response.
Yes, I think it's a very emotional response. I think it's we need to know for how long it's taking us to get where we're at or to be pushed to where we're at. It's going to take us, if not much longer, to get out of that. So I think us, the generation after us, the focus should be pushing us in that direction
Right.
in whatever way we can. So if you have children, you raising children to where they don't have to work for anyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or you building something to where when you leave this earth, if you leave before your children, that when you leave them behind, you're leaving them with something to inherit, so that they can now go forward and build. That they're not in debt, or they don't have to depend on anybody's 9 to 5, or those are the things that we could be setting up right now.
Right.
Yeah, but it's
Exactly.
going to take time. This is not going to happen tomorrow.
Right. So for those of you who can't hear Hanifa, because I know she's a little low, and if you want to see and hear her clearer, eLife Media, right, Chris? Go on to eLife Media right here on Facebook, and you can see the whole program a whole lot clearer. But basically, Hanifa's saying, if you feel that way, it's best to start moving in that direction.
Yeah,
Moving in the direction of independence and sovereignty, as
yeah,
opposed to just saying what we need to do. It all starts with the individual. But yeah, Tracy Hunter, those folks in Cincinnati, keep your head up for her, and hopefully, they can come together, put their heads together, and figure out a way to get her out of jail. Wow. Yeah, so that's been one case that's really been on my mind for some reason more than anything else here lately that's been going on, because a lot of this stuff that goes on is like no surprise. It's like, okay, here we go. So what I'm saying, you better put on your boxing gloves, or you better do whatever, to weather this storm, because this is only the beginning.
yes,
This is
yes,
only the beginning. We better get ready. You know what I'm saying? This thing ain't it's gonna get a whole lot messier before it gets better. That's for sure.
right. And I don't even want us to even have the conversation as if we're not going to have any blockages along the way, or any, like, mountains to climb along the way. Like, it's just going to be an easy ride. There are going to be times that we may have to stop to catch our breath. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So it's just keeping hope, and then also raising up a generation that follows us to have that mindset. You know what I mean? Like, um this is not the destiny. This is not where we This is not where we set out to settle. You know what I mean? So that generation then to pass it on to their children.
Right.
And that's how we start to get ourselves out of this.
Right. Teaching the young. I agree.
Yeah.
Pelu says, on YouTube says, because many times among black folks they find it way too hard to agree to disagree. We had that. This attitude makes broad platform building impossible. And you know, we talked about having a show around just that.
Yeah.
What you call it, Hanifa? Something culture. The dismiss,
Cancel.
the cancel culture.
Yes.
Yeah, Pelu, the cancel culture, where we our communication skills are lacking, to say the least. You know, we get into this place of if somebody says something that you don't agree with,
right,
or you don't like, you're gonna either cuss them out, or you're gonna delete them or boot them or whatever forever. Forever and ever. You know, that one thing that you disagree on cancels him or cancels that individual out of your life forever.
Because social media is set up in such a way, in such an impersonal way, that allows space for us to do that. And so you see more and more of that happening, where people can sit behind a computer and say whatever they want to say, you know, and decide that they could take something and take it to the extreme because they're behind of a screen. And I think it's just because social media is so impersonal. I think if we deal with each other more on a personal face-to-face, we wouldn't have a lot of that, because we'd be able to have like real dialogue around whatever the issue is. And even if we leave the room disagreeing, it wouldn't be as hostile as we're seeing it on these social media platforms. But the social media platforms also exposes a part of us that we need to address, which is a lot of internalized self-hate.
Right. Lewis, come on up on the screen, Lewis. Come join the request to join if you can. And any one of you guys, if you guys are on this screen here on Facebook and you want to join, request to join and I'll bring you up on the screen. Lewis says, Lewis Ali from the South, a baby in the womb depends on its mother, but once it's out, grows the womb, nature commands that we move, also known as push in a different direction. So I guess he means separation, because I know Lewis, Brother Lewis, that's his daily mantra, which I appreciate. So basically he's saying we've outgrown this womb. Correct me if I'm wrong. We done outgrown this womb. So here we are in a society with the ruling class could care less, really. You know what I'm saying? We have the president who every chance he get, you know, knocks us, and he has a whole cabinet of people who are creating laws and building institutions to hold us back.
Right.
And here we are continuing this fight 400 years later. So how long is enough? Are we in a position to be able to do something for ourselves, or are we even thinking in that direction of having, you know, independence like every other nation of people on earth?
We're currently not there. I think that's the conversation that we need to start having.
And why aren't we thinking like that?
Facing the reality that we're not there. Now, the question then is, do we want to get there? And if we truly want to, what needs to be done, and start to take those steps in that direction? And it really, really starts with first trying to figure out ways to how we keep our families together, because that's the foundation of all of this.
Yeah.
If we can't keep our families together, our money is going to be all over the place.
Oh, thanks, Salima. Salima says Agichi is in South Carolina. Thank you for that correction. Yes. It starts with the individual first, she says. I agree.
Yeah.
You know, I agree. Okay, so we're going to go on to another topic. You have something, Hanifa?
Yeah, well, you were talking about what's been pressing in your heart. So one of the things that really got me, and you know how I feel about the children, it was this. I think it was like a thing that sort of went viral. This lady named Karen Harrison. I
Okay.
don't know if you saw the video. She has a 3-month-old son, and she dropped him, and he died
Ooh,
because she was in a fight.
I remember seeing something on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she ended up. They say accidentally. Well, I guess it's accidentally because she, when you look at the video, she walks up to the other young lady, and they just start fighting, and the baby just fell. A 3-month-old baby. You know what I mean? So that's kind of been pressing on me because that's just one thing. But these videos that we see go viral,
Hmm.
they recently had one with the dad beating the teenage girl
Beating a little
because
12-year-old girl for having sex.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. So those type of things have been on my mind. Like, okay, how do we address these things without offending? Because parenting is a real touchy topic. It really is.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
once you start to talk about someone's parenting style, that person immediately feels attacked. Especially black mothers. You don't tell us how to parent our children.
Right.
And then you talk to a black man, like it's very touchy and very difficult. But I'm like, we need to start having the conversations because the comment section on the father beating the 12-year-old was very interesting, as usual. You have some people that was like for it, like, yes, she shouldn't be having sex at 12. And I'm like, well, what is his goal here? To make
Mm.
us stop having sex?
Mm.
And then you
Good luck with
tape
that,
it,
with a beating.
right? You tape it, and then you sit like that's even more. It's one thing you beat her in the privacy of your home. It's a next when now the whole entire nation sees it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's traumatic in itself.
In itself. Yeah. Talking
You
about
know, I'm like,
bullying. Now that opens the door for her being bullied by
right.
other children her age.
My thing with that is that he's going to have to find a way to mend that part of their relationship. She will never trust him again. She will
Mm.
never trust him again.
Mm.
So I was looking at that, and I was looking at things, and I just started to just think about so many different ways in which we do these things to our children, and then they become teenagers. Unless this is a very funny time anyway, they
Hmm.
become teenagers, or we're like they don't talk to us, or we don't know what's going on with them, or
Yeah.
I don't know why they're acting out, and we're good for that too because the reason is because we think that the parenting in which we're doing is good for our children, for black children in this society. So I was looking at the video with Karen Harrison, and she is a mother. And immediately I'm like, what is it that was going on with you that you do not realize you need to put your child down or walk away?
Mhm. Mhm.
What
Mhm.
what is what is what is what is your mental state? Where are you psychologically that you could just walk up to someone with your 3-month-old in your hand, ready to fight?
Right.
And it doesn't dawn on you that I need to maybe just walk away. You could even say, "You lucky I got my child," and walk away. She couldn't even do that. So I'm just like, where are we dropping the ball? This is a young mother. Where are we dropping the ball on this?
Oh man, Hanifa.
The baby
Um.
died, by the way.
Yeah, I heard about a week later,
Yeah,
and so
that's
now they
that.
charging the mother.
Yes, they are. Yep, they're charging her with murder.
Wow.
That could have been avoided. So I'm starting to see a lot of those type of videos. I don't always click on them, but when I do, I usually go straight to the comment section because I try to get an idea of how we're thinking, and it hasn't changed. Now I will say I'm noticing a lot more people saying him beating her publicly like that. Do you think that's going to solve the sex piece? And most people was just like, that's not going to solve anything. So that's one of the things that I kind of been pondering lately when I saw that article and then I watched the video.
Mhm.
And that video followed the one, because the one with the dad beating the 12-year-old came out first. And
Yeah.
so I'm just like, we need elders to really I don't even know, Altamar,
Yeah,
because
because
it's so layered.
I had the discussion with my daughter, who's
Mhm.
24, and I was saying, first of all, why is a 12-year-old even having sex? We talking 12 years old. Shouldn't we want to get to the bottom of that first before we want to punish her for it? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? What is the root cause of that? But then my daughter was saying, "Ma, you don't understand.
Mhm.
That's old in these day and times." She said they see everything. They see it all right online. They can go online. They can get porn. They can, everybody in the schools is having sex around them and stuff like that. I'm like, at 12?
Yes, middle schoolers are having oral sex in the schools, and it's happening. And that's the thing. That's what's bothersome to me is that us just beating the children is us also ignoring the issue
Right.
and that
Right.
it's
What is the
not
root of why she's having sex at 12 years old? Can we even discuss that? Or we just going to jump onto the Band-Aid fix? Beat her.
right.
We're going to beat it out of her.
Right. So we want to pretend like these things. See, now I just said to you, they're having oral sex in middle school. Do you know how many parents react like, what? It's happening though.
Right.
It's happening. And this sex crazed bipolar society, as far as sex is concerned, that we live in, we have to know our children are exposed. They don't even have to walk out the door. They don't even have to
Right.
walk out the door.
They could be in their very own bedrooms.
They're exposed all the time. It's always right there at their fingertips. And we have to really shift how we are talking about sex and how we are discussing, having the conversations. How early are we having the conversations with our children?
Right.
These conversations should be happening very, very early.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
unfortunate, but it's the reality.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the things that I was and that article after I read it, I'm like, and she's a young mother now about to go and do time for murder of your own child
It's
because
a lot
you
of
could
trauma.
walk away from a fight.
It's a lot of trauma. It's a lot of trauma in our community, and I think that what we try to do is we try to forge ahead despite the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we don't recognize that without stopping to address the trauma,
Mm-hmm.
we're just repeating cycles and making patterns even worse for our offspring. It's like having mental illness and never getting any real help through it.
Yeah, I think we think if we ignore it, it's going to go away.
Right.
And the reality is, I always use a house. Like, you are going to, when people have an attic or a storage room, and you push everything in that space just to maintain the image of a clean house. We push everything out the way. We put it in the attic, we put it in the basement, we might have a little storage room, we shove it in. And so when people walk into our house, it's like, wow, nice home, it's so clean or whatever. But you have all this junk, push on the side.
Right.
You,
It's
as
still
long
there,
as,
collecting
as,
dust.
huh?
I said it's still there, collecting dust.
Yes, but as long as you live there and it's out of sight, you could be fine living there. But you know what, Altamar? There's going to be a time that you may want to move.
Mm.
And when that time comes to move, you have to face you have to face those things that you pushed in the closet. You have to. All of us have moved before. We know how that goes.
Yeah.
We start finding things that, oh my gosh, this is where this been.
We do a lot of saving face. We do a lot of saving face in our
I put it
community.
into life. As you move, as you progress, as you evolve, you have to face those things. So there is no, it's not there. There is no just get over it. You have to face it and deal with it at some point.
Right.
Yeah. So you're right. We do have a lot of trauma, but my mindset is like, I'm like, okay, how do we start to address it? And I feel like it's one young parent at a time. I feel like a lot of these young teen moms, they don't have guidance. They don't have guidance.
Yeah. Where are they going to get it from? Where if their own parents didn't have guidance? So it becomes a continuous cycle trauma over and over and over and over again, and nobody stops. And what we do is those those who do have the knowledge and awareness to change their dynamics themselves, they busy running. They running from the situation. So you may have have grown up in the hood with 100 other different families on your block or 2-block radius or what have you, and there may have been 5 out of 100 that really understood the ramifications of their life in the society they find themselves. And so they do whatever they had to do, whatever necessary to get out of that environment, physically and mentally. And once they do that, they gone. They ain't looking back. So now the other 95 who never had the wherewithal, never been taught, never had, nobody to guide them the way that these 5 had. It's like they in the quicksand, and nobody's there to reach out to pull them out of the quicksand because they busy gone on with their own life. And then what we do is, when we out and we get to greener pastures, so to speak, we look back and frown at them. Oh my gosh, I ain't going over there, or them ghetto folks, or they they trifling, they should be ashamed of themselves. When at one point you was right there with them. You know what I'm saying? So instead of trying to help them out of the situation, you chastise and judge them. And that's where we find ourselves. Now, the bourgeoisie, we got plenty of resources in our community.
We do.
Plenty and resources in our community, and people that's available to be able to help and foster and mentor and all these people. But we don't. We too busy trying to hang out with the Joneses.
So for the children, for the children who are coming up, and let's say maybe they have drug addicted parents, so they don't have any family support like some of them. Whose responsibility are those children?
It's the community's responsibility at that point. It's the entire community's responsibility for them children if they know that there's children growing up around them that don't have what they need to live a healthy, happy life. And you have the resources to give it to them, even if it's not financial. You have the intellectual resources to give these children what they need that they're not getting, and you don't. Well, that falls on you, and that's where we are. We think that we can get to a corner of the earth and we'd be all right and forget about the rest of them. When you get out here in the street and get pulled over by a cop and they knock you upside your head with all your resources and all your big fancy house and your flashy jewelry, and you still get knocked upside your head because you don't understand that no one person can rise above the condition of their people. You don't understand that. You think you can be all right and everybody else around you suffer. No, you're going to eventually catch the weight of that.
Okay. No, I was just asking that because that conversation had came up once on my Facebook, and I was just like, it's the village. And I thought about it, and I'm like, and this is why it's important for us to build community, especially when you have children. You need to be able to connect because anything can happen, and that child needs to know. I can go to Miss Alkama and ask for help. Because my mom can, I can go to Hanifa. That was my mom's friend. Like, these children should know people outside of their parents that they can go to, and that's what community looks like.
Yeah, because our children are killing themselves more and more because they feel like they don't have no help. They feel like they don't have nowhere else to turn. Yeah.
So that was my one thing. I at first I just read the article and I was like, do I want to see this video? And I just clicked on the video and I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? A 3-month-old just fell and that was it.
Yeah, I heard about that story. Let me see. Let me get some other folks on the chat. Hope Pelu also says That's what I'm trying to get at. Blacks have been politically misguided by unwavering commitment to the left Democratic Party. I'm not sure what he was referring to, but yeah. Salima said, I actually had a conversation with a couple of my classmates about a 12-year-old girl riding public transportation by herself, and I wish they would stop. The screen keeps going out real fast. Hold on. Riding a public transportation by herself, and I was like, that's not okay because they're snatching young girls. That's a good point. That's a good point, Salima. Yeah, our children are out here 12 years old riding public transportation on their own.
Baby.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this is like one of the #1 hubs in the entire country for sex trafficking. Right here in Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Okay, let me get the baby real quick.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let me go to Jabal. Jabal, I'm sorry. This was early on though. Jabal had said we need a way to reverse integration, but yet not back into Jim Crow, rather separate but equal status. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. What do you guys think? Anybody want to tackle Jabal's point about going back into separate but equal? You know, I'm of mind. I am not emotionally attached to this landmass. Me personally, I'm just speaking for myself. You know, because I understand that Africa is the wealthiest nation on earth as it relates to resources. So I'm of the mindset of Marcus Garvey. Why would I give up a land? Why would I give up, you know,
a continent?
Yeah, a value. Why would I give up something of the highest value that you can achieve for something lower?
Right.
For me, that just doesn't make any logical sense. Now I understand, you know, people. Some of us say we fought hard, our ancestors' blood, sweat, and tears in this land, and we helped to build this land and things of that nature. But we don't control anything in it. We don't control anything in it. So some of us like we just gonna fight. We fighting overthrow and all that stuff. I don't know. But my point is, I understand that Africa is where the wealth is. Without Africa, there would be no America. Without Africa, there would be no Europe. And we can go on and down the line, because everything that made this country great came from Africa. Even the people. Even the people. So, you know, the build, all the wealth, the resources of the land come from Africa. You know, we wouldn't even be able to talk on these gadgets if it wasn't for the minerals and the resources that come from Africa. And so I don't think we look at it like that. And so we look at it on the physical surface of it all. You know, we don't understand that this is where all our people reside. This is where our culture comes from. The land is rich. You know, even the weather's better. I mean, you go down the line, you know what I'm saying? So if in my mind, it just makes logical sense. If we work towards cultivating the most wealthiest planet on earth and call it our home, then I think that just makes sense to me. But that's just me. That's just my thoughts. Anybody want to jump in there? Or we could go back to Jim Crow and take a corner of this land mass and fight, fight. You know what I'm saying? And have to protect and secure all four corners of the land mass, because we have vicious vultures all around us ready to attack at every moment. And it's been proven based on history. So we can expect more of the same in my mind. But anyway, that's my spiel. Anybody want to add to that? I wanted to talk about this. Ned, did you see Zeke's post? The brother that heads up New Era Detroit He has an organization in Detroit, black-owned, black-led organization where he does a lot. You know, he reminds me of the Panther Party, and they've expanded, so they have chapters in different cities, but Detroit is their main hub. And he posted something, and I reposted it on my page, but he was just pretty much saying, somebody was mentioning about the book bag, back to school book bag, giving back to the children, and when we do book, fundraisers, things like that. Mm-hmm. And he said, at some point, we got to think, are we really doing these things for the children, or doing them because it makes us feel good to say we are doing something? This is no knock on people that are doing these things, but it's about to be 2020, the year, a whole new decade. It's time to switch it up a little. These babies are the smartest group of black babies of all time. We got to do more to pour into them other than the 4 or 5 cliche times a year when everyone is doing the same thing. It's about to be a new decade. It's time to level up. That's if we are truly serious about the evolution of our future generations. And that was from New Era Detroit. So basically somebody, and then he had a meme, I'll read the meme real quick, that was attached to his point. And they said, y'all ain't did SHIT for the youth all summer talking about back to school giveaway. At some point, we got to do more than just book bags in August, turkeys in November, and toys in December. We need more summer camps, internships, and mentorships. Our youth deserve consistency. What you think about that, Hanifa? What you guys think about that?
I read that. I did read that.
What's your thoughts?
I think that I think we're getting there. I think people who, that's kind of their thing, they're trying to organize different programs for the kids in the summertime. I mean, I'm never out of options for my son for the summertime. I mean, there's a bunch of options for us to choose from. So actually this summer here, there were a lot more summer camps than last summer. There's a lot of STEM programs out there now that's focused specifically on black children. I think there needs to be more, but I feel like we talked about in the beginning of the program, it's gonna be baby steps in that direction.
I agree.
Yeah, but I do understand what he's saying, but I also think that people are working towards that in the best way that they can.
Yeah. I agree with you. I also think that these type of coattail pulls are important. I think these type of comments are important to make because it shakes people up a little bit and gets them to thinking deeper.
Yes.
Because we can get into a rut of a situation where, okay, I did my book bag, or okay, I gave to my book bag, I gave a turkey, I'm good now. You know what I'm saying? So he's basically challenging us to do more, to step up and do more, and there's always room to do more, I think. So, like he said, it's not a knock on the people that are doing these things. He said, but it's going into 2020, a whole new decade. When are we going to change the screen and change the narrative to where we're doing more impactful things for the children who really need impactful things? Yeah. Because it's one thing to give a child a book bag full of the tools they need for school and sending them to a school or an institution that's just brainwashing them all day, versus putting our heads and our resources and our talents and our skills together to build schools that won't be brainwashing our children 7-8 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm thinking I get where he's coming from. So it's like, the book bag thing is good, and the turkeys are good, and the toys are good, But we're struggling and suffering out here. Our children, we're losing our children from the streets. So what are we doing to prevent more of these children from being lost to the streets?
Well, in my opinion in that too is that, and when we say to the streets, that's like we're losing them to the street by accident, where they are getting caught up in crossfire,
Mm-hmm.
and we're losing them in the street by their own participation
By their
in
own what?
in certain activities, right?
Yeah.
So it's going both ways. So as you get like, because some of us will be quick to say, well, not mine. My kid is not in the street, but your kid could just be walking across the street that day and get caught up in some gunfire. We're seeing that happening in DC, aren't we?
That's my point. That we can't get away from the struggle just because we're doing better than those who are in the trenches. But go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was saying that I lost my train of thought just now because I kind of veered off. Sorry.
No, that's okay. You were saying
Yeah.
your children can be just walking down the street and get caught up in the stuff that's going on in the streets.
Yeah, but I guess I think it's a part of it is that we are not raising our children. We're not. Think about it. If you are at a job for most of the day and your child is somewhere else for most of that day, you're not getting home until the evening time. They get home, they probably got to do homework, then it's bedtime. How many hours are you truly spending with your child? When are you really parenting?
Right.
And we need to face that's just the reality. I personally think that, because I could say that and I could speak that from a place of privilege, and I think a lot of us need to be mindful of that. If you're an entrepreneur or you're not working a 9 to 5, we gotta be very careful how we discuss this, because not everyone has the resources to be able to even step out and do that right now, or some people just don't really even know what they really want to do in life. Some people really are just comfortable with working a 9 to 5, and that doesn't make them a bad person, okay? So when we talk about this, in my mind, I'm always like, so what about those parents? How do we help them as far as their children is concerned? And I personally feel like, listen, aftercare is a booming business.
Yeah.
I'm about to get in there. Booming business, okay?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm telling you, it is. It is expensive and it is booming because people have nowhere else to put their children.
Yeah.
And people do not want to leave their children at home alone.
Right.
So I personally think, this is just an idea I'm throwing out there, is that a group of us, if we could get together and set up some aftercare services where you're teaching African history, you're teaching self-dependency, like self-sufficiency. You're teaching like Chris them just the other day at the shop, how to plant your own food. Like, you know how many hours a child is at aftercare? It's about 4 hours. Because let's say my son, he gets out of school at 1:50. He does not go to aftercare because I pick him up. I'm home.
Right.
So I can look at the time and I will get home at least by 2 o'clock. That's 2 o'clock. His aftercare goes all the way to 6:30, Alkema. That's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
So, and then for the parents who, their kids are latchkey kids, they're going home at 11 years old by themselves. And they're sitting there for hours until the parent gets home. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, maybe we need to start looking at like aftercare programs for that population. You know, because there are just some parents who are not going to be able to do it, because it's either they stay home and lose the roof over their head, or they go to work and maintain the roof over their head and the food on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the focus definitely should be on the next generation.
So that's just one part of it, you know. I think we still should encourage people. Like, we brought the sister on, the Muslim sister with her daughter. She was talking about her having a government job and how she had to, like, you know, cut back so that she can be around to educate her child at home. I think we should encourage that too.
Yeah,
you know,
she had to make a sacrifice, and that's one thing that so many of us aren't willing to do. We just aren't. We aren't willing to do is to make a sacrifice to.
Right.
You know, she was making 6 figures. The one Hanif is talking about, the lady was making 6 figures on her job. but she wasn't comfortable going to work every day and sending her child to a school with predominantly European students or other students who didn't look like her. And she was learning how to become a good quality worker for this society. And so she wanted something different for her child.
Mm-hmm.
And so she decided to cut back. She started homeschooling her child, and that in turn she had to cut back. Her income got cut. But she said, looking back, she said she wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. Her child, future was more important than a six-figure income for her. But that's a rarity. That's a rarity. A lot of us maneuver in fear, and so we worry. We worry about, how's the bills going to get paid, or how am I going to, get gas.
And we also still want our kids to be in safe environments. We also want them to gain knowledge of self. There are parents out there that wish that they can stay at home with their kids, and they go to work and they regret, and that's part of their stress every single day. So if environments can be provided to kind of ease off some of that stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, my child is getting this when they go to this particular place, even though it's 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying, yeah, I get you. So it's like, it's not the all, the end all, but it's a better option than what they're getting now.
It's one of the options. We can't just throw one option out there and say, you guys need to quit working for someone. We're gonna have to provide multiple options, because everybody's scenario and situation is not the same.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us. So, like, me too, I gotta catch myself sometimes, because it's easy for me to not be better understanding of people who aren't in my same predicament, in my same position. Because I work for myself, it's easy for me to be like, what I'm saying, just homeschool. Fuck that. Just, what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that's a kind of selfish way to think of things, because everybody is not, in a position to be able to homeschool. That's just real.
We know
we better understand that and be more compassionate to that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's we know that type of freedom that you're talking about, where you are saying, I refuse to work for someone else or whatever. It starts here.
Yeah.
It starts here. And in order to gain that knowledge, you have to have the time in your life to go after it. Some people do not even have the time to read a book.
That's real, honey. I agree with you. I agree. That's just reality. Whether you like it or not. That's why these kind of platforms like this, I think, become so important, and not just the Empower Hour, shout out to us, but those who are like us, who's out here spreading the word, you know what I'm saying, and getting the information out and sharing different alternative methods of discussion and communication to give people some options, some things to think about that they may not even have ever considered before. All that's important. That's important. So yeah, and okay. So I know we're running out of time, but we have been on this we running out of time. We don't have about 5 minutes left. Maybe about 10. You see, Chris cut me that out. So real quick, I just want to go through a couple of them, but I'm not going to go into detail. I just want to make mention. Puerto Rico uprising. The Puerto Rican folks, how they took to the streets in the hundreds of thousands, and they stayed there until they got that man out of office that they wanted out of office. And when I saw all that, I was like, man, the things we could accomplish when we come together, when we unify. And I mentioned as much, and of course we got some of the naysayers that, I had mentioned we can learn a lot from Puerto Ricans, and they were like, we can't learn nothing from Puerto Ricans, they don't like us and stuff like that. Always the naysayers. But it's like, the more we focus on the things we, the people, you want to take the whole society, whole Puerto Rican society, and label them with they don't like black people. You know what I'm saying? Instead of coming together in a collective force with other people that help us get further along in our mission, we fight against each other and make it even harder for ourselves. But anyway, I know I said I wasn't going to go into detail, but I just want to shout out to the Puerto Rican people for coming together. I heard some of their famous folks flew in. They flew in from Hollywood and flew back home just to be in the ranks with the rest of their people and to help, push this man out of it. And he stepped down. He stepped down from all the pressure. So it's just, another example, clear case example of what can be accomplished when people unify and come together under one common cause.
When you just mentioned that there's we had talked about this when we did the one segment on the ADOS.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of that now happening, even with the movie that's coming out. That was one of the things I had on my list too, to talk about that with the movie that's coming out on Harriet.
Yeah.
There's been this
Harriet Tubman movie.
Yeah, Harriet Tubman. It's kind of been like the person that they've chosen to play Harriet. There's been some controversy around that because she is African, and African Americans. Some African Americans are feeling like she should not be able to play that role. It should be an African American actress. Mm-hmm. And then also, she's also made some statements in reference to African Americans, like almost like they have no culture. Akatas, pretty much. And if most people know, Akata is a West African term.
Yeah.
It's derogatory. I think it really, when you get down to it, it's called stray. It's like the definition is like stray cat or something like that. Mm-hmm. But there was some controversy around that. So when you just talk about that, we need to be very careful in propaganda and how these social media platforms are being used to drive certain agendas. So if somebody has an agenda to divide and conquer,
good point.
Social media platforms, social media, the internet, that's what they're going to use.
Excellent.
And then you have to start asking yourself, am I being controlled? Because a lot of us like to think that we can't be.
Right, right. Funny you mentioned that. Excellent point. There's a documentary on Netflix called The Great Hack. Have you seen that, Hanifa, yet?
No, not yet.
Girl, check it out. It's going right into what you're discussing right now. It's about Cambridge Analytical. It was an online...
the whole Trump campaign.
Yes. And they actually were the ones that was behind the whole Brexit movement as well over in the UK. And yeah, girl, so they kind of went internally to figure what happened, and when they were showing how they manipulate people online and how they were, you think that you got your own voice and you know what I'm saying, you're moving in a certain direction because this is just, you're passionate or you're concerned about what's going on over here, but they are actually manipulating you to move in a certain direction and to move and get behind certain members of the administration and all that stuff. Actually, Obama was the first ones to hire them. Actually, Trump and then went after Cambridge Analytical and hired them after they saw the success they had with the Obama campaign. So these people, you got to see it. Anyway, see it. It's a Netflix documentary called The Great Hack, family. You got to see this because you're going to be shocked beyond belief out of all the things that you participate in. That's been manipulated. You've been manipulated in that direction. Yeah, unbeknownst to you.
That's what I'm saying as far as like being influenced into a certain direction.
Right.
And so them driving an agenda as far as divide and conquer. Because now we can't even get on the same beat as black people in general, because now it's always this thing that comes up. Well, they don't really like us, so we're not fighting for them.
Right.
It's a lot of that happening now. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, what is this? What does the future of black people in this country look like?
We're the only ones that don't want a single ally in the whole world. Meanwhile, there's nations in this world, in this country. I'm sorry, no, on this earth. There's nations on this earth that had they not had the allies that they had at certain points in their thing, they would have been overtook and overruled. Even today, we can go to Iran. You know what I'm saying? Because Iran has such strong allies, they can shoot down American planes, and America don't do nothing about it. So we don't understand the power of having allies. And anybody who don't like, one person out of the community that don't like black people, we shutting the whole Puerto Rican community, or we shutting the whole Asian community, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever community. What we don't recognize what it does to ourselves when we do that.
Right.
We don't see the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Right. We're isolating ourselves.
Yes.
When we said in the beginning, we don't really have the
ourselves.
resources at our disposal to do that right now. We don't.
Right. There's going to always be people. There's people in the black community that can't stand black people. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, you're going to get people ignorant like that in other societies and other nations. But the bigger picture is allies. I ain't saying friends, bosom buddies, you know what I'm saying, loved ones. I'm saying allies. It's a big difference. I just want to make a really quick mention, too, about Ethiopia. Shout out to Ethiopia for planting. They broke a world's record. They planted the most trees in a 24-hour period. They planted over 1 million trees in one day.
What?
Yes, girl. So what they're doing is they're trying to curtail the whole climate change scenario. Because what scientists are saying now is that if we start planting more trees, that will help the ozone and that will help the climate and all that stuff, because that's kind of making a big impact on climate change. It's all these trees and stuff being chopped down. So there's different. So I think China had the world's record at one point. They planted like 800,000 trees at one day at one point, but Ethiopia just beat them out. So this whole trend of, you know what I'm saying, going green, it's been picking up steam, I've been noticing across the land. So shout out to Ethiopia for that. Just want to make mention. And that's it. I had reparations to chat about on my list, but we've run out of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I had that on my list too. We can go on and on about that one.
Yeah.
Because it's all easy. That would even take us back to the whole divisive agenda. Oh, yeah.
We're always fighting against each other.
Yeah. You know when they say, they say when you want to see family get split, let someone die and leave money behind. And you see the worst of people come out.
Yeah, that's real.
And I'm watching the reparations thing, and I'm just like, it's almost like no, mine. We gone back to this toddler stage. This mine, and it's like, we don't mess with you because this is mine, and it's really about protecting what's theirs. It's sad to watch. It is very sad to watch.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Well, family, we're gonna have to end it there. That has been our trending topics for this week. So we thank you so much. Wait a minute, let me see if I had gotten somebody else in here that wanted to say. Okay, so yeah, we're going to end it there. Until next week, family, take care of each other out there. Peace.